Hi guys, back again with the latest video in Mamemeister's high score Kerfuffle. Last week's game was a choice from me, Pengo by Sega. I'd only played a little of this game when I said it last week, and over on the Discord, it's proved to be a pretty Marmite choice. Personally, I absolutely love playing Pengo. I really like the game mechanic, which although there are various ways of scoring, you realise that the bonus for lining up the diamond blocks really dominates things. So typically, for any given level, my strategy is just to ignore the snowbees, possibly kill them if it's straightforward, but focus on getting the diamonds lined up for a 10,000 point bonus. Once you've got that bonus, then either see the timeout or pick off the snowbees to clear the level, keeping hold of lives being much more important than killing all the enemies. Compared to the last two games, which were all about execution, Pengo is much more about strategy, which is possibly why I enjoyed it. You need to read a level as it appears, and decide how the blocks can be lined up. Pleasingly, other than my Instagram pal Retromedic, all of the score submissions have been over on the Discord, and it's been really good as the top score has changed hands slowly and been bumped up. So let's take a look how people have done. We had another 14 submissions this week, which is great. I'm glad we've got some consistency in the people submitting. I mentioned this game was a bit Marmite, and the scores reflect that. Those that expressed their distaste for this game are generally lower down the list, with Paulie Moz being the most vocal about how much he hates this game. Even so, he's played it enough to take 10th, which would have required a decent amount of getting used to the game. Once we get to Colin Jones, we hit those who at least tolerated this game. I think Colin expressed his enjoyment during his live stream, and has ended up in 7th. Panther UK and Ian Cullen ended up finishing on 50 to 55,000, which for a while had a group of us all stuck in that range. But we've ended up with Robert Morrison breaking out and briefly leading, finishing on 64,000 in 4th, 10 Shearers ending up in 3rd with an impressive 80,000 points. That leaves both myself and Andrew Lowe, who traded scores over the course of the week. I ended up taking the lead with 86,100 points on Sunday night, and then last night, Andrew submitted his top score, which ridiculously was identical to mine. This is the first time we've had a tie on score, and so like the points scoring, I've also taken inspiration from Formula 1. Given I submitted the top score first, I'm taking my first win in this feature, putting Andrew in 2nd. If anyone wants to complain about this, I'll happily ignore you. Let's see how the result has changed the overall leaderboard. So, with low or no scores, Paulie Moz, Andy Wood and Charlie Farr have all dropped down. Panther UK, Ian Cullen and Rob Morrison have all jumped up, after pretty decent performances in Pengo. I'm up the most into 3rd with that win, and then our top 2 remain unchanged, both with podiums this week, 10 Shearers in 2nd, and continuing to lead the field is Andrew Lowe. At least we've had a week where Andrew didn't win, even if it's by the narrowest of margins. With Pengo wrapped up, let's take a look at this week's game. So I said we'd do alternating weeks of me choosing the game and taking suggestions. This week we're taking a suggestion from Ye Olde Gamer Steve, who's chosen a Ye Olde game. In this case, he really wanted us to play Streaking, but he settled on Wizard of Wor, released by Midway in 1980, which is a top-down maze shooting game with the novel feature being that some enemies are invisible until they are close or enter your line of sight. To help, there's a radar panel at the bottom which shows where the enemies are, but the maze isn't shown, so you need to work out where they're likely to be. The developers went hard on the war theme. You play as warriors who go on to become warlords after the first 7 levels. The enemies are Boar Wars, Gar Wars, Thor Wars, Warlocks, and ultimately the Wizard of Wor. Playing a little, it certainly seems decent. There are up to 6 enemies on screen and the other warrior. As you progress, when you kill the Boar Wars, this triggers Gar Wars to spawn, who when killed trigger Thor Wars to appear. After these are cleared, a Warlock appears, which when killed doubles the score of the next dungeon. Graphically, this game's not much to write home about, with a rotated sprite when you move vertically being one of the most notable deficiencies. But for 1980, it probably looked pretty decent. So let's see how you warriors get on playing Wizard of Wor, and I'll be back next week with the scores. See you then.